Hey guys, I have some Nutella, which is nut-free from the Ultimate Raw Vegan Bundle, and coconut thins to have with it. I'm really excited. So the bundle is only on for another 2 days. So if you haven't got the bundle, make sure you check it out. The Ultimate Raw Vegan Bundle has hundreds of raw vegan recipes, 32 contributions in total, ebooks, courses. It's worth just about $1,400, and you can get it for $50. And it's all new content, never seen before. So let me post this so you can get the bundle and we can get started. We're also today going to be talking about how to get started on a raw diet. I'm covering different topics every day during the bundle. Like I kind of cover different topics all the time, but I thought this was a really good one to get into. Like, where do we start? Because people can get really overwhelmed or just not know where to start or what to do. So, but first off, with that Nutella, which I'm not going to give away anything besides I didn't use cacao in this. I used carob because there's only a couple of recipes. This is an amazing recipe. This is going to be like Lissa's sweet chili sauce to me. I'm going to have this on hand because it's basically fat-free. And these coconut thins are full of omega-3s. Let me just bring the camera around so you can have a quick look, because I know later on people are like, I can't see. And I'm like, I can see, and I think you guys can see, but you can't. So let me just push this back here. And there we go. Look at that. Beautiful. So I was just going to grab one of these and top it. So this is coconut thins. There's like chia and flax and lots of different flavors in this. It smells incredible. Yum. This is very nostalgic, having something like this. Okay, so we can see this. Let me just move the camera back up so we can see me eat it. You see that? It's a little blurry. I don't know why that's gone blurry, but that crunch. I thought this combo would be good. This is really good. Yum. Hey, Apple a day. I'm in like food heaven right now. This is really good. Okay. I can't just sit here and eat like I could, but I won't. That chocolate or carob, I actually think I like carob better than I do, like flavor-wise, better than cacao right now. So good. So that one is in Crack Spread Repeat. The crackers are by Nate Maris. And the Nutella is by Lena. And she has a course, a really good course with like exercise routines and food you can eat each day. And it's called Nourished. Beautiful name for it. So yeah. Okay. This is a little bit. There we go. Okay, so I was going to today talk about how do we start a raw food diet. The first thing I think when you start a raw food diet is to work out what your goals are. And the reason being is because some people, and this goal can be in many different terms, some people are well and they just want an enlightened lifestyle and they're like, I want to end up on a beach somewhere eating fruit. Other people, it's like, I've got this disease. My goal is to cure this disease. Other people, it's like, I just want to incorporate more health. And so there's like no rush. And when I say no rush, I think there's circumstances where you can listen to what I'm sharing here. But if you are acutely sick, I would suggest you get onto raw foods as fast as you can, eating as light and as clean as you can, because it definitely makes a huge difference. But that I'm talking about real acute situations, which a lot of people feel they're in, but you will get benefits from just including more and more raw foods. So the first is to work out your goals. Like, let's talk about my situation. My situation was I had noticed when I ate cooked food, I couldn't get up. When I ate raw, I could get up and I could function. So my goal was like, okay, I don't really have a choice here. I'm going to be having raw foods. So a lot of the time when I approached meals, it wasn't so much about what I can't have. It's like, well, what are you craving? Because you can have it, anything you want, because I was already vegan. Anything you want, you're just going to have it raw. I mean, within reason. I mean, I wasn't having things like tofu or anything like that, or grains anymore, but you might be craving beetroot or sweet potato, whatever it was I was craving. I just knew that if I ate it raw, I was fine. So it's good to work out where you're at and what your goals are when it comes to the raw foods. Okay, so as I said before, the next one I want to touch on is how bad is your health. So some people will find, including myself, like I couldn't have cooked sweet potato anymore. So I had to level up. I call it leveling up, where there's different levels of raw food. I mean, you can eat like what I just showed you, a lot of like this type of stuff, which is more dried, but you're not going to feel as good, especially if you're trying to get your body hydrated. I think the reason most people suffer is dehydration and disconnection from nature. When you rehydrate the body with nature's foods and you get outside, you can notice a difference almost instantly. Tell me someone who does not feel good after sitting on a beach and eating a watermelon or having a mango, or like, it's kind of when you get, like, you could call it enlightened from raw foods, everything is common sense. Like all the downloads you get, there's no like paragraphs from books. It's literally common sense. Like it makes sense that it just grows naturally. Like if we had enough common sense, all the plants on the streets would be like apple trees and watermelons and herbs, not just grass and flowers, which are pretty, but we've got to eat. So yeah, basically getting back to where your health is at now. So for me, I noticed it was fine to eat really anything raw, as long as most of it was hydrated. But a lot of people can be quite sensitive, have histamine issues, have gut issues. So you've really got to assess where your health is at now. Okay, so the next thing is connect. Connect, 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 connect. Get on Instagram, find raw vegans, follow them. Get on Facebook, find raw vegans, follow them. Get into YouTube, follow them. Get the Ultimate Raw Vegan Bundle. It'll connect you to 32 people who have been doing this well enough to write ebooks. And in groups, you can talk to people, connect, because you're not going to find many raw vegans in your area. You may, like, there may be vegans or plant-based people that you talk about raw foods with, but when you want that like real support, I think one of the first things to do is to just surround yourself media-wise with it. Especially, you don't want to be like coming in and watching, like, see, this is the trick with the tricky part with raw foods is I can be in my little bubble here and I've got my Nutella and my crackers and my papayas and my green juice. But when you walk outside, you will walk past a person eating a pie, a hamburger, having coffee, having a smoothie, having a milkshake. You'll walk past the local Chinese shop. You will smell Chinese food. You will walk past the bread shop. You'll walk past bins which smell disgusting, but you'll see wrappers in them. You'll see advertising which is telling you to eat a different way. And that is the struggle in your own little environment. And that's why you need to create your own little world. So you're going to find out what your goal is, but then you're going to, in here, and even when you're out on your phone, if you need to, just log into Instagram and look at some salads, look at some raw foods, open the Raw Vegan Bundle, because the battle is the mind. So we need to find ways that we can survive, especially at the start. Eventually your brain changes. But the greatest things that helped me, especially when I first went raw, was a little goodie bag I would carry with me. It was just plastic, not great, but it would have like my favorites in it, like a little satchel of nuts. It would have just like mixed nuts, a little bit of dried fruit. It would have some fresh fruit, maybe some berries, strawberries, or some grapes. And it would have like carrot, celery, cucumber. Not much of it, but like I guess it's like a salad bag, right? So if I'm out and I'm watching people and I'm like, I've got to have a hamburger. I'm not someone who's like, breathe through it. You may not be hungry, have some water. I'm like, just have some celery or have something, have a couple nuts. I did find that a lot of the time I felt so much better with the hydrating foods. Like the nuts are kind of there and the dried fruit would to support with some density. But that little bag, and my good friend Heidi, who's raw, she still carries Hyrule, a bag with her everywhere. I actually bought, it's like a little esky. I call it an esky. I don't know what you guys call it. From Kmart. Eventually, I carried this everywhere with me, put all my little goodies. So like I'd have a handbag and then I'd carry this everywhere with me, full of just food. And if I didn't eat it, I'd just put it back in the fridge at night. Just because we are really, hey, Tessa. Hey, we've got Vancouver and Montreal. Yeah, so just I really feel like we're not talking about like trying to get through something small here. We're talking to people from the moment they got off their mother's breast milk, have eaten a certain way for their entire life. No matter what you've gone through, you have had cooked food, processed food. And that is, I believe, too hard to overcome with at the start, especially with just breathing and water. I really think it's good to have a safety pack. And look, I mean, my friend Heidi still carries it around. If I'm in a hurry, I will, and I'm going out for a day, I'll still do that. I am much better now at being able to be out there and not being receptive to all the advertising, to all the smells. But if you're new to this, and as I said, it was just a plastic bag that at the start, which isn't great, but eventually I got like a little bag like this, and it was like my safety blanket, because that's what you're up against. And when you come home at night, I found it a lot easier. Even Heidi says she finds it easier being in your own environment, because just say you do have a craving that comes up, like you want to get takeaway noodles. Well, at least in my environment, I can make myself some zucchini noodles, might put some carrot in there, a few cashews and soy sauce. This is when I first started. And maybe some cut up nori sheets to try and emulate or like be the same as what I'm craving. And, you know, I've got all the onion powders and stuff if I need to add them. And a lot of the time, even to this day, when I went through having just a broken toe recently, a lot of things were coming up for me. Like when I was out with family, I'm like, should I just order food? It just looks easy. Everyone's drinking. Should I just drink? And I hadn't had feelings come up like that for years, like 4 years. And I think I was just going through it with, you know, not being able to exercise, not doing as much, not being as connected to nature. And what I do is I come home into my space. I always know that I can come home to my space, and maybe you share it with people, but you have to set up your space for your raw lifestyle. So I came in, light a candle, do all my skincare, and then I made myself my hormone balancing salad, which isn't in the bundle, but it'll be in a bundle soon because I will have another ebook coming out soon. But it's like a really yummy salad. And then I sat there and I ate. I actually went back for more. And I was sitting there and I'm like, I don't feel bad. I feel amazing. The taste here is amazing. I love the serenity. My mum gifted me. It was like Easter, so no chocolate for me. She gifted me this soy candle. And so you just find new ways to absolutely spoil yourself. Because I promise you, in that type of natural realm, most of the things that I spoil myself with don't even compare to the cost of getting takeaway food or buying my lunch at a restaurant or paying for alcohol. But yeah, it's like I'm thinking Saturday night, you're getting takeaway and alcohol in front of a television. I'm there with a candle, and I usually don't even need a television on because I'm so satisfied. And it is getting colder for me now. If this was summer, I would 100% be outside. When I first went raw, when a lot of things came up for me, because I quit my medication, alcohol, cigarettes, any junk food that I was having all at once. And it was almost like my nervous system I was having seizures from having FND, but these weren't true seizures. These were like my nervous system couldn't cope without either being numbed or the medication, or it just shows how much everything kind of numbs you down. Like, how do I get through the withdrawals? Do you know what I did? I used to have this massive calling. Now, I could not move very much, but I would get my butt outside and put my soles, it was like nature calling me, the soles of my feet on the trunks of the trees, because I lived in a funny little cement apartment. There was a strip of grass out the front and one tree in the corner out the back. The rest was concrete. And that little corner, I would hug the tree and my nervous system would calm. Sometimes I remember, even when I was in psychiatric units, and I'd get like, you could feel your nervous system shaking, I'd grab onto leaves or plants and it always seemed to calm me. You've got to think about what grounding does for a human being. And you've got to think that these plants and nature are in the ground. They're taking in the wind, the sun. They're like that, like, what is it? Like a rolling stone will gather no moss. If you're outside, you gather no moss because you're always in flux and in motion. And that's what plants have that we don't have when we're inside, around these alternate currents all day, and we're feeling like our nervous system is dysregulated, is just keep doing it. And it may sound a bit cuckoo, and especially when you're in psych units and they're telling you, like, you got your shoes off in the dirt, you're crazy. And I still do it, it really helped. I'm not hurting anybody. It's safe. And any nature, it was only like a nature strip out the front that I would use, hold on to leaves. It's nice to bring them leaves inside to hold on to. And I always knew when I was dysregulated, because you'd open my hand and all the leaves would be crushed. And when my system's really, really calm, I notice everything's held really gently. But that is a huge thing when you first go raw, is don't discredit the absolute power of nature. Even if here it's winter and it's cold, I was putting my feet on the sand when I first got up. Eventually I got in the water. Nature really helps, and holding, as I said, that little food bag really helped, because at the start can I be honest, it'd be great coming from someone like me or someone who's been doing it for 20 years and they're like, okay, you go to the shops, you buy your fruit, you eat fruit till this time, and then you make a meal from this recipe book. I'll tell you what, the head games that go on when you first go raw aren't made for that sort of thing. They're coming from someone who's, now I could do it. I know where the shops are. I have barely any cravings. It's easy. People around me know I eat this way. You're fighting for your life when you first go raw. I'm not even going to pretend. The good thing is you feel amazing. Most people start to feel enlightened if you eat enough and eat foods that you're really craving towards. I really felt, if I had gone on this and someone's like, juice will cure you, I really feel I could have done myself some damage at the start. So I always think, especially at the start, let the plants talk. Don't discredit any days you do. If you do fruit meal in the morning, plant-based all day, fruit meal in the morning, plant-based all day, fruit meal in the morning, plant-based all day, and the next day you do plant-based all day, don't discredit the 3 days that you've done. Just next day, start again. You are in a head battle, but you also know that you're feeling better with raw foods. It just feels good. It's even the example, even if you're eating a standard diet, as I said, if someone has watermelon or mango in the sand and sun, no one's like, oh my God, this made me feel like crap. French fries, we call them chips here, but French fries or a chicken burger or something, and afterwards you're like, oh, I don't feel good. So there is light, and it's one of those journeys where the reward does come from you doing the work. Yes, there's lots of support that can be there, but a lot of my confidence, my rebuilding, my soul came from the fact that it's like Sky, last week you were drinking, you were smoking, you were eating, you could order a burger that was plant-based, and now look at you. Look at you. You're not having any of that. And even if you stay uncooked and let go of those things, always give yourself a pat on the back, because part of the reason I feel like my soul and spirit rebuilt was because I was so proud. And someone brought up the other day, and I say this all the time, is when I do interviews, people are like, who was your inspiration? And I'm like, me. Me. Do you know what I've been through? And I bet anybody listening has been through things that other people could never understand or ever imagine. And you're the champion for coming out the other side. So it's I never, when I got well, compared myself to anyone. I couldn't read very well at the time, really, at all. But I could know that, what I'm doing is near impossible. I mean, who goes 1 week from being a girl in a psych unit, liver's failing, all these health problems, can't get up. Everyone thinks she's basically just, they're trying to keep her alive type thing. And there I am, celery and parsley and cashews. And so Tessa Jane said, I was also my own inspiration. That warms, it gives me chills. It warms my heart, because I believe when you become your own inspiration, you're learning to know that this whole time that you've been on this planet, it's all about you. Like, it's not about anyone else. If one night you do need to order some takeaway plant-based food, don't be hard on yourself. Just go, it is what it is. I've eaten raw for maybe 2 weeks or whatever. Tomorrow I'm back at it. And you might even learn a flavor from eating it. You might even be like, I really like lemongrass. I'm going to get some fresh lemongrass, which is really good. I need to get some. Sorry, I've gone off here. But yeah, I really feel when you own your journey, you make it your own. And I was saying, I did a live with Wendy. I'll try and post it today on YouTube, where everything that got me well was not from a book. I mean, I'd studied, I'd read, I had professors, I had doctors. I was watching all these, documentaries on YouTube, trying to fix myself with knowledge. And all the tools that got me well were, like, I know at rock bottom, I'm like, well, my dad is like really healthy. What did he do? So he used to get up and go and exercise. And then he'd have juice and all raw muesli, like rolled oats and nuts, and I think a plant-based milk. He'd have a salad sandwich for lunch, and then mum cooked pretty healthy dinners and mum's dinner. And he wasn't someone who ever went and got, chocolate bars or lollies at his desk, or, there were times when he went out for lunch, he would always kind of get the same thing, which was always like a pasta dish. He was always consistently healthy. So that was really imprinting on me. The other thing that really imprinted on me when I healed myself was that the fact that as a child, like, I was like, when was I the happiest guy? Like, obviously antidepressants aren't the way, and there's got to be inside you happiness. And I remember jumping around in the surf as a kid by myself. Like, you're not eating ice cream, you haven't got your parents, you haven't got friends. I was happy, and I was like, I'm going to do that. And because I live near the beach, not that I did it straight away, but I worked towards that. Another thing that came up for me was that, when did I feel the best in my life? So my brain was not working at, like, I couldn't access memory, as in, what would you call it? Like rhetorical memory that's learned. Like, that you repetitively learn something. It's not instinctual in your muscles. Whereas the things that got me well were these instinctual things in my muscles, which are literally ingrained in me, which I hadn't thought of in years, until my brain couldn't take in, like, all this type of stuff. So a naturopath had put me on all sorts of diets. Doctors on diet had put me on diets, nutritionists, but there was one naturopath who said, for the next 2 weeks, all you're eating is fresh fruit and vegetables. You can have them lightly steamed and a bit of tamari. And every second night you can have whatever meal you want. And when you eat that clean, every second night, I think I was having more veggies and maybe a small piece of fish. So basically that was like in the crux of like being quite sick as a child and having very processed foods, being given medications. For 2 weeks, I ate this diet, and I remember feeling better. I didn't feel perfect, and it's not the same as raw foods. And obviously it wasn't my time yet, but that's the other key. These are all things that I never read, but I learned. Like, there were skills that I was gifted. And that's why I truly believe when you enter that dark night of the soul and the healing journey, is you already have all those tools. You're going to have to use every ounce of your body and mind and spirit and all of those tools to get onto it. And that's what I did. Like, I knew as a kid, the best I felt was summer holidays, when I was little and I was outdoors all day, no shoes on all day. You barely ate. You're literally living off nature. And I was like, okay, I'm going to have that. They were all tools that I had learnt. A lot of them I'm talking about as a child here. Like, so that's why I truly believe is when it's time to undertake that healing journey, it's you. It's in you. And I mean, maybe it's one of those things where, I am a raw food coach and I can coach anybody, but maybe for some people it's working with a hypnotherapist to get in touch with deeper levels of their subconscious. I believe each person gets there in a different way. I do not believe everyone is like me and has this, like, mine, I think, needed to be as traumatic as it sounds. It sounds really traumatic, but I feel like I'm someone who may have come into this world, like, I've been told I'm an old soul, but a bit numb. Like, as in, like, I'm like, things just happened to me and I just never would, until it took me out, I would keep going. I'd keep going until something literally flattened me. And I feel like my journey and how the depths I had to go to, I had to do that for my soul to come out the other side. But that doesn't mean that that's the same for everyone. But I do believe, at least by the time you hit puberty, most of what you need to do to heal is already ingrained. Like, even when I think back as a kid, it's not like I'm like, oh, the best time was when I sat on my friend's bed eating lollies and watching a movie. Usually it was like whenever I reconnect with my cousins. Do you remember when we climbed that tree? Do you remember when we ran around into the lake? Or we used to get these big sticks and float down the river on these big sticks, that these big trees that would drop out, would come down during a storm. So we're literally in nature all day. Most of, like, my deep grained memories. So my greatest suggestion is maybe journal, even, like, write down all the things you remember in your life which made you feel good, especially being young, because you'll find it, or if it is with a friend, it's lots and lots of giggles. Now, I couldn't connect to people. Whatever happened to me spiritually, psychologically, mentally, emotionally, I could barely feel people. But I tell you what, I could feel nature. And then the raw foods really brought that home for me. Like, it's unbelievable what the raw foods can do. So yeah, I've said here as well, getting a coach is really good. What is really good about a coach is, especially at the start, a lot of people need accountability. A coach will definitely guide you, and that's a great thing too, but people need to show up or get into a coaching group. I also have a group. Contact me if you need it. But I do it with someone who you resonate with, that you look at and you're like, that's how I want to do my raw journey, because that's how they're going to coach. But I think accountability is really big when you first start. So I did touch on this a bit, is the mind shift needs to shift. So you need to shift from realize, like, when a lot of the things that we do in life up until we go raw are because we push through. Doctors give us medications, we push through. We're just going to get through this. We get ourselves up early when we actually need sleep, or we'll use something like caffeine. Everything is the next, or we'll turn music up really loud, or blast us. I remember blasting myself with air conditioning sometimes to kind of wake myself up. Everything was like, get to the next push through. This, you get to shift your life into fun. What is fun? Like, I remember when I got well, I couldn't really watch television. So when I could get up, I just remembered as a kid, I liked to toss a ball around, like shoot hoops and stuff. So I just kick a ball around the park, like, start back where you begun. So Apple Day said, blank paper and a box of crayons is always my happy place. I love that. That's really good, because, like, when you think back to kids and when you see kids, everything's bright. And if you can bring bright colors in, like, I remember just being, when I got raw foods in me, so attracted to brightness, like all the colors, and yeah, it's amazing. So Tessa Jane said, I don't know what my happy place is. My suggestion is to think back as a kid, and we sometimes have some blocks when we do this. And I like that idea about getting crayons, because there's got to be times when you're young, and usually they involve, for me, they were always the sun, some salt, or running around a park. And you start there. We live in a world which is very over complex and got lots of different multiple layers to it. But when you get on this, it's so simple. Like, you realize how much joy is sitting on the grass. Like, a lot of the time I just sat in a park, and the more time my butt was on that ground, I would start to see reality differently, as in, like, there's actually, like, complex things going on with little ants and amber on the trees, which we don't see. We think that we don't even care. Like, I think back to how I was, I don't care. And now all those things fill my heart with joy. So my greatest suggestion is, raw foods is amazing for amplifying all this, for cleaning the body, for making the body well. But there's something about the spirit needing to heal. like that soul, the psyche, the spirit. I was talking to Wendy last night about how when I broke my toe is my body would do everything not to feel the pain of the break. Had me exercising even more, although I was in pain, just so I wouldn't feel. I went back to coffee just so I wouldn't feel. I started to just lay around all day feeling sorry for myself just so I wouldn't register the pain. Our body can be quite fractured from our traumas. And I really believe like raw foods helps, but like nature and source is what will put us back together. So yeah, so I think, you know, that finding our happy place and happiness. So a lot of what changed for me when I went raw was the perception of what joy and happiness is. So a lot of it is conditioned where it's like a fancy holiday or a new dress, and that comes from kind of being ingrained from such a young age. A new hairdo, and those things are all nice, but that truly wasn't happiness as in lifestyle happiness. It really wasn't fulfilling, right? What I changed was if you meet up with a friend, it's never going to be for coffee, it's going to be for juice. Or if I go for a walk, where is a place that has raw vegan slices that I would have afterwards? Or instead of walking up for a coffee, I would go up for a coconut. You have to find those things you used to do and rewrite them into a raw lifestyle. And as I said, it depends where you're at and what you like doing. And that's why for me, recipes and the bundle are so huge, because I really feel if you can enjoy making raw recipes. Now, a lot of the time I'm not always having raw recipes, but when you want one, the flavors, it takes you, it's just like having a real pizza, but you don't feel like crap. It brings me so much joy. It brings me joy to make food for others and knowing they're feeling healthy. But before others, we think of ourselves first. We have to get ourselves right. You can't be half broken and try to help someone else, because you'll half break them. So we're all about focusing on, what is it that I like? And I think that's a huge thing that I had to shift to, is that when you're broken, running around trying to help others is just not helping anybody. The best thing I did was keep working on myself. Now, I guess everyone's not in that situation, but your downtime should be working on yourself. What makes me feel good? What do I enjoy doing? And as I said, for me, it was like walks with friends and a juice, or even when I go to days out, reconnecting with friends and everyone's drinking, is I would bring my bag full of food and maybe a juice, or at the time, I think it was lots of water with lemon in it, but I'd ask them for the wine glass, put my water and lemon in it, and I actually had more fun, because you don't get tired, you don't feel sick. And if I wanted to have a drink, because I would just finish being an alcoholic, I just have some raw food and I feel so good. So let me just have one of these. If you just joined, I made the Nutella from Lena's Nourished. Let me see if you can. Her Nourished, and these are Nourished course, and this is Nate's cocoa thins. So I'll just have some more of this. So yeah, as you can tell, when I went raw, a lot of what I did was not try just sit in the energy and beat myself up. It was like, I'll be having a cucumber, or I'll be having a wine glass with mineral water. I didn't have mineral water. It was always like water and lemon. But you've got to meet yourself somewhere. For someone, they're not ready to do that yet. Maybe get kombucha. I was having herbal teas. So good. Now I can't talk because my mouth's full of food. Okay, so it's really about, as you can tell, a lot of this is like mindset. I'm getting into recipes, having fun, getting things like the bundle if you're just starting out. But I really looked at it like I can have all the flavors. Like no flavors I can't have. I just have it raw. Do you eat coconut often? I'm worried about saturated fat in it. What are your thoughts about this, please? And thank you. So I will go through stages where I'll have a lot of fat. Usually when I do, I will not be able to tolerate much sweet fruit. It will be more green apples and berries. And then all of a sudden my body, like I can feel it shifting again. It's wanting more grapes and papayas. And it's all about trusting in your body. So if you're like, what I believe happens is if you're craving some coconut and you'd had some here and there, maybe for a few weeks, you're having more than you thought was necessary, but then eventually it kind of tapered out. I think that's better than ignoring what your body's asking. Just say you're asking for coconut, it's asking for coconut, and ignoring, and all of a sudden it kind of explodes and all you can think about is coconut and avocado, and that's what tends to happen to me. And then I have to work back to kind of find my balance again. So I think it's about trusting your body and seeing how it responds. My body responds a lot better to the whole food fat. So I did go through a period where I was using a lot of omega-3 oil because I wanted to get omega-3s in. My digestion wasn't great enough to get like chia and flax, break that down and get the fats in. If I look at the composition of my body does much better with coconut, avocado, nuts, and seeds. It seems when food comes in its whole form, my body personally, just you can just see it starts to look like it's like a cellulite, looks sluggish. But there were many benefits for me getting omega-3s in, and now I can get the seeds in. So it's all about a bit of a push and pull. I don't crave a lot of coconut. It doesn't. My skin looks amazing when I have it. For some reason, I don't know whether my body gets a lot out of it. But what I will say about I have a lot of coconut water, and then I'll freeze a lot of the coconut meat that I have and make, like, I don't really make dressings. I more make yogurt, or I'll use the excess coconut in like a recipe like this. But the reason I don't have a lot of, well, the good thing about coconut is if you want fat in your diet and your digestion is struggling, coconut's the easiest to digest. But like when I have avocados, I can really feel it calm my whole nervous system. And when I have more nuts and seeds, it's harder on the digestion, but I do feel my body feels more stable and more grounded. I don't have like a huge amount, but when I have coconut, I don't find like massive shift. Like I need coconut type thing for me, but that's just for me, like coconut craving. But I will notice my skin is incredible from having something like coconut. So my suggestion is try it because your body is talking to you. Excuse me. And this is all about being able to listen to that inner voice again. Like that's how I healed myself, right? Is it's like I was craving these hydrating raw foods, and then I would try these cooked foods and I'd be like, no, this doesn't work. Like it's like listening. Nobody told me. So I always think it's really good to find out what works for you and feels good in your system. I know a lot of people, and you can feel really amazing on just fruits, like getting a lot of fruit in. But then there's times where I've been on it, it's caused me symptoms of like candida, dizziness, POTS, because I've kind of overdone it. So sometimes it might even be that we're craving more greens or more veggies or coconut. I don't include coconut as a sweet fruit because our body just needs to pull back a bit. I really do believe there's got to be like a huge part of why I'm here, and I believe other people are here, is to get connected on this physical plane to your spirit, to your soul, to your intuition, where your body needs something and you just crave the food. You know, your body needs saturated fats. It needs whatever's in coconut, it needs whatever's in avocado. It's really hard to break down like nutrition and that's what you need. Like even if I'm deficient in something, it may not be iron. Like, I mean, my situation is different. I'm missing the part of my stomach which does absorb iron. I did heal my anemia, but when my iron dropped, was it low iron or was it lack of vitamin C? You know, was it not crossing over? Because I wasn't, because, you know, I went through a histamine stage where I was having histamine reactions, which has a lot of citrus, and before I could have more citrus. You don't know. So it gets really tricky when people get on. This is why I don't get up and do many talks on regurgitated information, which has been studied, because it's not straightforward ever, ever, ever. Like, as I even said, when I eat fruit, fruit can make me feel the best, but also, or if my digestive system clogs up, I will get candida symptoms. Do I believe it's the fruit? No, I actually believe it's not having a stomach. And I also know I already had a tendency towards things like slow transit through the bowel. And so it's just getting clogged up. And then, you know what happens? Sugar ferments. And how I know this without being tested is when I did keto, I had zero problems with histamines, even when I was having avocados and tomatoes all day. And then as soon as I put the sugars back in, my body just started to become inflamed. But over time, because I've given it a break and I've listened to my body, now I can feel my body's like, it's wanting the sweet fruit as I go into winter, but not so bad. I've got some persimmons and papayas. I haven't thought of the farmer's market in about a year and been dying to get fruit. It's always been veggies and greens for at least the past year. And today I went and I was like, all I wanted was fruit, munching on grapes. All I wanted was a green juice, put more grapes in it. So to me, the body is far beyond more intelligent than we can think a book can tell us an answer to. And that was another thing I wanted to touch on, is what I also realized when I went raw is I'd spent most of my life reading how to do things and YouTubing how to do things and buying things to do things, but not actually doing the things. Like if I'd spent all that energy, or even if it's just an hour of energy, I'd put that hour every day into actually getting my butt outside, not being on social media, and then eating the food and not worrying about the tons of information that's out there, I would have got somewhere. And I've kind of applied that principle to everything I do. Is don't go researching what's the best exercise for your body and rereading it. Just that whole hour, you could have been outside walking, Sky. Like, what are you doing? Or I've kind of applied that everywhere, is don't try and read yourself to do it. Just do it. Of course, once you're doing it and you've got some spare time, sure. But the amount of time I realized in my entire life I spent going, right, I'm going to become this, or I'm going to do this. And all I did was like watch videos and educate myself. And like, I never actually did it, or like it would just bring more anxiety around it, because everything you read has pros and cons. So then you're like, am I doing this right? Is it not right? Where I was like, this time around, Sky, you can't sit in that space and worry. You've got to actually get yourself well. So you just do it. So that's probably like a huge one that I would preach to, is if you're going to spend an hour researching something, don't just, if it's exercise you're going to research, just go for a walk. Like, get your body and brain actually doing it, because I feel like we sat in classrooms for too long as kids, being like shown all this knowledge and really being repulsed by it. And then we try and apply that same like way of like methodology towards achieving something. And we wonder why we kind of get anxious and pull away. So yeah, these are just things that like really helped me, because what you have to remember, like in my case, I mean, everyone's case is different, but my case, it was like black and white. I could not go back to cook food. I couldn't get up. It was like someone could give me a life or I have no life. So I was like pulling in all the stops. But it's like, Sky, everything I did to get well was doing, as opposed to like trying to read myself through, because then you get into head battles, like, oh, but this one said this and this one said that, and it's better to just do it. We're talking about fruits and veggies here. We're not talking about chemicals and scary type things. So, if you get it wrong, you're going to get some gas and you're not going to eat that combination of food, or maybe that food you're sensitive to right now. And it's like an animal. An animal will be like, okay, this food gave me diarrhea, and you watch the animal avoid it. We seem to have to go to doctors, nutritionists, read books, watch YouTubes, have debates with friends over it. And then we're so anxious about it. We usually are so anxious we go back and eat the food because we want to forget what we're thinking about in the first place. Whereas this time around, I'm like, right, this doesn't work. That's not in my life. I'm going to fill my life with all the things that do work. So it's very instinctual. And I think it's a really good way to do it. Okay, the other thing I want to talk on is get produce that you are able to get, which is in a realistic realm. Like, don't be like, I'm going to go raw vegan and now I'm going to only go to farmers markets and make it really technical. And then you forgot something at the farmers market and you get so anxious you end up eating a cooked food because you didn't get what you're supposed to get. I healed myself with no organic foods. I have spray free now, but that was only because my goal was, you have to climb the ranks, Sky. You can't be on disabilities and barely afford rent and think that you're going to just be able to go to a farmer's markets and spend all this money. You have to start where you're at. I also had to start with what was possible. It was not possible for my brain to comprehend a whole week's worth of food. So most times I would order, especially COVID and when I was still sick, a few days worth. and they deliver it. Was it more expensive? Yes, but I knew I would stay raw and it was sustainable. It wasn't a huge amount more, but just having it delivered a couple of times a week. Then when I could get up, I would get my food daily. Or every second day, because I didn't know what I wanted. And I knew if I was faced with like eating bananas when I wanted a salad or I wanted watermelon, I'd be like, I'll stuff this. I'm just going to eat something from the cupboard, which I had cleaned out by this stage. But I made it like possible. I make it realistic and possible. And some of the, we are lucky in Australia because I do know our produce. Like I've tasted things in like America and it wasn't as nice as like our shops. But I did notice in America, they still have some organic things in the shops. Get things you're drawn to. You'd be surprised how much, and get a wash as well. If you want to, if it doesn't smell nice, wash it with like a, one of those veggie washers. That can also help a lot, but I never made it impossible. So like if the thought of doing it became impossible, I knew from past experiences that I wouldn't stay on this diet or this lifestyle. So it made it possible. And what was possible was to be raw and enjoy the food. That was kind of the gist of it. Or at least like I was basically snacking on like veggies and fruit and nuts during the day. And then it was like I wanted one satisfying meal a day. And so I would buy that every day or every second day. And usually when I made the next meal, I already had things left over. I just add to it. But I was very much only going to eat what I felt like, because it's very hard to do raw. I'm not painting this picture like you, but it's very rewarding. Like I don't think there's ever been anything as rewarding in my entire life as the raw food diet. Not only did it heal me, it makes me thrive. It opens up the universe every day to me. Like I can walk outside every day and look at the same view and be mesmerized by the new colors of the clouds, the way the universe makes me feel, the rain on my skin. I had no access to that until I ate, raw foods. And so it's very rewarding. But all the things that are worthwhile doing in life, like if it was easy, everyone would be doing it. But this is why I want to enable you guys with tools that I used and that you can use, nature and carrying food with you, and it does get easier and it gets more rewarding. And as much as you probably think everyone online who's doing things like the bundle or sharing all this type of information is perfect, I promise you we're all going through things at different times. I was saying yesterday, most of my time being raw, when I've shared, you guys have had full access to everything that's been going on with me. But I will say the last month with the broken toe, emotionally, it was more difficult. I did struggle. That's like the first time where it's hard to share because you're just going through something. But most of the time, and even that, I've come out the other side of it, and I'm grateful for the knowledge and the slowing down and the realizing that my body will get things like caffeine, or it'll excessively exercise so I don't feel pain. Like that it's probably wired in a lot of people, is you do things like even obsessively, keep busy, it was almost like, it wasn't manic, but it was like I just couldn't stop. And then when I did and they saw the break, it was all of a sudden my face went white and I was like, I can feel that. It was like going into shock. So, we go through things at different times, but I promise you what we go through, doing raw, getting connected to nature, doing stretching. Like I prefer Pilates. Yoga, my mind still isn't still enough. Some people do yoga, breathing, but truly the access point for me is raw foods and nature. And I think that's really good. Okay, so as I've said, use nature, connect to people. There's also a chronometer, if anyone's ever heard of chronometer. Let me see if I can bring it up for you guys. I assume most people know what it is. It's free to track your basic macros and also calories. A lot of people don't eat enough. Let me just see if I can share this screen with you. And they want to know if they've eaten enough. They want to see what nutrients they're getting in. A good way to do that is a chronometer. I've never really used it. Occasionally I've used it just to see how much of the macros, like protein versus fats versus sugars, I'm getting. But a lot of people find it very helpful. So let's see here. So you can get an app, but this is just showing you the page. page here. You just go in and see that there, where it'll just track everything. You literally just start typing in lettuce and the lettuce will come up, and you might type in 100 grams or 200 grams, and then you write in the word tomatoes, and tomatoes will come up, baby tomatoes. You might pick that and you might write in 80 grams, and it will calculate your carbs, things like calcium, magnesium, vitamin C, protein. I think if you pay for it, you can actually get access to more information from the food. But I'm trying to talk you guys into listening to your body, but I'm not going to take away the fact that a chronometer can help many people. Okay, so that is the live for today, and I will go off now and enjoy more of the No-tella from the Ultimate Raw Vegan Bundle and the coconut thins. And I'll be back tomorrow. Guys, go check out the bundle. The bundle should be in the description. I put it in the comments. There is hundreds of recipes, courses, there's guides. It will help you go raw, stay raw, motivate you, connect you to people. Just $50 worth $1,400, around about that amount. And it's all new content. So have a great day. Love you guys, and see you tomorrow. Bye. I will enjoy my food. Bye.